What's up, LEGO builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. We often love to romanticize World War II tank life in movies, books, and mocks, but being in one was anything but a joyride. Tanks were cramped, bulky, and typically the first thing targeted in a fight, not to mention the issues with terrain, since most European infrastructure like bridges and roads wasn't built to accommodate these massive metal monsters. Today, I'm challenging myself to represent the downside of tank life and build a mock inspired by this famous sunken Panzer photo. And that's all you need to know for now. Don't forget to open fire on that like button, and let's get building. In a rare turn of events, I'm not starting from scratch today. I already built a natural embankment on the side of a dirt road which runs by a swampy pond. The ends of the bank are still green and untouched, but the middle has collapsed into the water under the weight of a certain vehicle. I'm gonna tackle the pond first. I'm using trans brown plate and tile so the water looks nice and murky, with a base of dark bluish gray underneath to make the water more visible. I want this to be a very detailed build, so including lots of foliage. Lily pads are common in stagnant water like this, as well as bulrushes. You've probably seen these while roaming your local pond. They look like a brown hot dog on a stick, but trust me, they do not taste as good, and I'm definitely not speaking from experience. I spent quite a while trying to get the right look and eventually landed on this, which I'm pretty happy with. I really like this piece, but they often look out of place when I use them. I don't know if I need to cluster them more or add other plants with them. I did add some studs to the bottom of some, so they're at differing heights. Let me know in the comments what your favorite LEGO plant piece is. The plants are in on either side of the collapsed road, and they're going to frame the tank nicely. Now I just need to tile off the rest of the empty space with more water. I've been working on this mock for weeks, and one thing that kept bothering me was the sides. There's such an abrupt change from slopes and plants to just a flat brown wall, which I feel like is distracting and takes you out of the build. So I built this panel which hides the ugly side wall and guides the eye inward to the scene. This mock is unique from most that I do because I'm building this to be a long-term display for conventions in my studio. So I'm really taking my time with this one, making sure I'm satisfied with each section before I move on. And that's definitely not the case for about 80% of the mocks I build. Plants are my favorite LEGO piece to build with, so I'm going to crowd the road's edge with as many as I can. I've also been experimenting with combining pieces to create more interesting and complex plant builds, which is helping my foliage patches look more dense and realistic. Things are looking good and the core of the mock is done, and now it's time to really bring it to life, starting with the tank. I'm using my M4E8 Sherman design from the last video I did. I love this design so much I built a second one, but only had enough leftover track links to make 1.5 tracks. However, that works perfectly for this mock. This tank collapsed the road down into the pond, so only the top of the tracks is exposed above the waterline, and because there aren't any tracks on the bottom, it looks like the tank has sunk even deeper into the water. I piled up some trans brown tiles around the track so it looks like mud and water has been plowed up by the tank as it sunk. I built a special black frame for the mock based on the LEGO Tallneck set. I think the black oval base makes it look more like a high-end display piece, and I want to capture that same vibe for this build. I kept the final row of tiling off until the mock was connected to the frame because I want it to look like the plate and tile is spilling over the edge and onto the black frame, making it feel more like water. The last thing to do is add some more world building. Tanks are often used to haul around all kinds of gear and supplies, so I'm going to add a bunch of that type of stuff to the tank and area around it. And of course, you can't forget the minifigs, which in this situation is a very disgruntled tank crew. Just think Mace Windu on a Monday morning. On their way to the next objective, this tank convoy has run into a sticky situation. Most European dirt roads were built for horse carts and small vehicles, not the massive tanks that have swarmed across the countryside during the course of World War II. Unfortunately, this road's finally given out and the side has collapsed into a swampy pond, sending a Sherman tank with it. It's not very deep near the bank, but the weight of the tank combined with the steep angle has made it impossible to remove for now. The very grumpy crew has stripped as many supplies and parts as they can while they prepare to abandon their vehicle and move on with the rest of the convoy. I've spent weeks tinkering with this build, trying to get as close to the vision in my head as I can, and I think it's as good as it's gonna get. I'm pretty happy with how everything came together, and I think the scene looks realistic. I'm especially pleased with how I was able to position the tank to make it look swamped. Now the hard part is finding a place to display it. That's a wrap for this one. Don't forget to let me know what you think of this mock in the comments, and until next time, happy building.